Okay, hello all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games, and let's talk about tower defense. I have not been able to record this in far too long, and I'd really like to get back to that. In the past couple of videos here, I've made a series of towers that do a series of things when you place them in the world, and when things walk past. There's a basic tower which just shoots stuff at foes. There's a fire tower which sets them on fire, although that is still not represented visually. I should probably get around to actually designing some indication of that, whether or not a foe is burned at some point soon. There's a couple others. There is this one that I like to call Bug Spray, which I apparently do not have enough money to place now, because it is not allowing me to place it, which spews clouds of poison at whatever walks past. And then there's Fly Paper, which is basically a slowing status tower, and it causes whatever walks past to be slowed down. And that's pretty useful. Because it allows other towers to get more hits in, I think. There are two more towers specifically that I would like to make for this game. This isn't really intended to be a huge game or anything, since I'm making it week by week, and making it too big would mean this series basically never ends. I died. But to break things up a little bit, because I want to try to have a little bit of a variation in the videos that get made in this series to make it more interesting to watch, I am going to be finally doing tower UI today. So, the UI that exists is in the form of a couple button objects, which exist on a layer in the game world. In the room editor. And they have their different properties set via creation code. So if I were to zoom in over here, you can see that they have an on-click method defined in their creation code. All of these buttons just basically tell the game to try to spawn a new tower. I didn't mean to click that. There's also a variable definition, which is the text that appears on the on each of the buttons. So Pebble Shooter, Fire Tower, whatever. I'm going to make something similar to this happen when you click on a tower for tower UI, so that you can see things like their stats and possibly an ability to level up or otherwise upgrade them. I'm starting to lean more in the direction of tower upgrades rather than levels, because I think that will be probably simpler than trying to like wrangle levels and stats and all that, but we'll work it out. So first, I need to be able to actually select a tower. So when you click on something, and this game constructor here is really long. This was a bit of an experiment for me for putting everything in a struct in the game, and it hasn't exactly worked out as nicely as I would have liked it to. Probably the next time I make a Let's Make a Game series, I will be using a little bit more with GameMaker objects than I am here. Particularly when it comes to UI, since putting objects on the UI is something you can't really do with structs.
Hey.
Okay. I didn't mean to click on that. There is a selected tower variable of some sort, is there not? UI elements game. Alright, I'm going to come back to this in a moment. First, let's see. If you're in gameplay mode, selected tower hover is whatever's under your cursor. Selected entity is, okay, so selected entity is whatever the tower might be. I am going to show debug message. This is going to be a struct, and printing that out could cause issues if the struct is too big. So I'm just going to say instance of. I'm going to use the instance of function on selected entity just so that we print out the name of the struct that it belongs to. Okay, let's just plop down a Pebble Shooter there. If I click on it again, okay, cool. Entity tower was printed out in the console. That's good. I didn't have to spend 10 minutes hunting through my code to find the part of code that I was looking for, like I have done in some other of these tower defense videos. So, when it comes to the UI, right now, everything is stored. All of these buttons are stored on the UI_game layer, and there's really only one UI. Furthermore, those are collected into the UI elements game DS list. And then this list is iterated over and drawn in the draw GUI event. I'm going to see if I can. There's something I think you can do with layers, which admittedly I have not really done a lot of because I don't really use the room editor, and therefore I don't really use layers. But there is something that I think you can do with layers, which is... Okay. We're calling the render method instead of actually invoking their draw events. Instead, let's say layer draw, or is it draw layer? There is a function to draw a layer, isn't there? No, there's no manually invoking a layer's draw. Okay, that puts a bit of a damper on my plans.
Hey.
All right, so we'll have to do this some other way. Let's see. Instead of just drawing these all in one shot and adding them all to the same UI elements game list, each object does have a layer, doesn't it? Oh no, it's depth. There's a depth variable, and the depth variable is determined by the value of the depth value of each of these layers in the room editor, and we can, instead of creating a simple DS list of DS lists, instead of creating a single DS list to store all these UI elements in, I can create a struct, and I can call it something like all UI elements. And this is a lookup dictionary. It's a lookup table. It's a struct. We can use it to map one value onto another. So we can take each button's depth, and we can use it as the key in this. We can use it as the key in the struct. All UI. It really should be other.all UI elements. And the array accessor is the $sign. Array accessor. The struct accessor is the $sign. And you can use a number as the key in a struct, but I'm going to play it a little bit safe and cast the number to a string instead. Let's say list equals this. And because you are allowed to use arbitrary keys in structs, if you use the struct accessor, I made a video on that a while ago. I will have a link to that in the video description if you're interested. We can check if this is undefined. If list equals undefined, we can say list equals ds list create, and we can put that in the all elements struct. We can assign that to that. Otherwise, if list is not equal to undefined, that means that this value already exists. It has already been created as a list, and we can just go ahead and use it. And then instead of dslist add to the all UI elements list, we can instead add it to the list, which represents all of these structs in the layer. Okay, so now there's only one UI layer. There's only one UI layer right now, but if I were to add more for things like a main menu perhaps, or a pause menu, or a tower selection menu, then each of them could go on their own layer, and they will still be organized in this list struct structure. So what this means is that instead of down here, it was in the GUI method, instead of down here, by iterating over this list no longer actually exists, but we can say layer get depth, and we can say, what was it? UI underscore game. Oh, layer depth is also a function, so I can't use that name. Let's call it layer elements instead. So we can instead say layer elements equals layer get depth UI underscore game. If we look this up, not what I wanted. If we look this up in the all UI elements struct using that key, we can now like this. We can now retrieve the list, which contains all of the objects which used to live, or they still do live on UI game, on the UI game layer. Now simply instead of iterating over this list which used to exist, we can iterate over this list. And this is going to work the same way as before. Okay. And we still have our all of these objects, and they still behave the same way. I can still place one of those down. I can still place one of these guys down, and we can launch the first wave. It's pretty nice, except when this thing doesn't actually spawn the flypaper on the track. Oh, it did. All right, I wasn't sure if the hitbox would be big enough for it to actually reach the foes. Okay. So I'm going to make this a commit. Let's see. Where was Bombardier? It should be close to the top alphabetically, right? We are going to make this commit. And while that's working, I'm going to create myself another instance layer, and this can be UI tower select. And let's see, can I lock that in place? I can lock and hide the UI game layer so that I can't accidentally mess with it. Let me just real quick go and duplicate that. Am I not allowed? Why can I not move you? Did you get pasted onto the wrong layer? Let's make you invisible too. I feel like I pasted you onto the wrong layer. Hang on. Wait, no. Okay, fine. We'll do this manually. Yes. You can tell how often I use the room editor. Okay, fine. Let's see. UI button. Let's create one. Let's drag it out here, and let's just make it a little bit longer so it's the same size. Good. Now that I'm done with that, I can lock that layer and hide it so that I can't accidentally mess with it. First, variables. Let's just give this a button name. Let's edit it. Tower select button. Next, creation code. We need an on-click method. I believe it's on-click. Yeah, okay. We need an on-click method. We don't because it has a default defined, but we may need an on-click method later. I will leave that alone for now. Okay, let's take this one step at a time. So I can say, right now there are going to be two states to the UI during gameplay. There's going to be this, the general gameplay UI, which is like buy a tower and that kind of thing. And then there's going to be tower selection, which is when you've clicked on a tower and you want to focus on it. So we can say if selected entity is truthy, if it has a value. Should I do that? Have I been doing that in the series? Using truth values, like if struct, because structs are truthy. I don't see anywhere where I've done that in the series already, so I won't do it now. Instead, I'll explain that in another video, truth values, but if selected entity is not equal to undefined, or we can say is equals to undefined, then we can do this. Else, we can do something else. And this should cause the UI layer to be drawn whenever a struct is not selected. Okay. If I can click on that and place you down, but if I do click on you, it'll go away. Because selected entity now has a value, it is no longer undefined. And let's see. We're gonna do something else. Now, have I written in a way to exit that? If I hit the escape key, does it unset? Okay, so if I just click on nothing, it unsets. That's good. It comes back. The tower is no longer flashing. So, the next order of business is going to be to do this again. I didn't actually copy that, did I? Is going to be to do that again, but instead for UI underscore tower underscore select. And this is going to cause the other button to appear. It's not going to really do anything of interest. It's just going to kind of sit there. I can click on you. Tower select button appeared. It doesn't do anything when you click on it because I have not implemented an on-click method for it yet. But it is indeed there. Okay, this is good. This means that the basic system for UI is in place. Also, since this part of the code is duplicated, I I'm not going to include that in the if statement over here. The sole purpose of the if statement is going to be to get the layer that we're drawing. You could simplify this further using like a conditional operator or something like that. I'm not going to. That is not a I don't want my code to be like impeccable. I want to get through this in a timely manner. Let's see. First, I'll commit this. And this can be, what was that? Is that other button still there? This shouldn't have an onClick method. Is there a file that's still there when it shouldn't be? Oh well. Again, let's not waste time. I don't know what this file is. Can I just delete it, honestly? I don't want to delete it. It's not hurting anything, and deleting could screw something up in the project file. UI layers. Alright, that's cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is hide those again, and I'm also going to create a, instead of a button, I'm going to create another UI element that's just a text label. And the text label is going to work similarly to a button, but it's not going to, one, have an onClick method because you can't like click on those things, and two, we are not going to like darken or show another sprite when we mouse over it. So instead, we're going to draw a rectangle 9 sliced with sprite index, and I'm going to create myself graphical stuff. I'm going to create myself another sprite. And that's just going to be like SPR underscore text label. And do I want to make it any different from the 9 slice? I'll leave it alone for now. It'll be a duplicate sprite for now. I can get rid of the second sprite because I don't really need the second sprite right now, but just in case I want to give it another look later, it'll be easier to, I won't have to mess with anything later. I'll just be able to edit the UI text label sprite. And let's see, lastly, I should actually assign that to you. You are going to look the same. Let's see, let's drag one of these objects onto the screen. Let's expand you, and all right. So you are not going to have any special text on your label. You're just going to have the default text. I do want to see, though, that it renders the text and that it does it correctly and that it doesn't like crash or anything when I try to mouse over it or whatever. So let's just spawn you. And we are actually not doing this. What is... Oh, I see. I know what it is. Up here, the text labels are not actually being added to the layers, to the layer struct anyway. UI button is what is being checked over here, and a instance of UI text, an instance of UI text is not an instance of UI button, so it will be ignored. What I will do instead is create myself a third object, and we'll call it parent UI or something. And it's not actually going to do anything itself, but we will make UI button and UI text child objects of those. And since UI button and UI text are both in terms of inheritance an instance of parent UI, now they will be added. And any future types of UI that I try to create and parent-to-parent UI will also behave the same. So let's plop you down and let's click on you. Again, that is not what I wanted to do, actually. Can I escape? No? Okay, this is a bit of an issue. I should probably address this. There is no way to cancel building a tower other than actually building the tower. Or I guess going into edit mode, but that doesn't really count. You work. However, I am noticing that when I click on one of those things instantly, the tower gets deselected. And I guess I basically instantly click on the next button, whatever's underneath it. Okay. It's not happening for the actual buttons, but okay. Let's see, that's worth a commit. What next? So if I want to show the name of the tower on this text label, there are a couple ways to go about doing this, neither of which I'm a huge fan of, but there are a couple ways of going about doing this. One is that the text that's drawn, I could create another method that's something along the lines of get text, and that could be set equal to a function, which could have implementation later. And then at the top of the render method, we could simply call get text, and then each text label could have its own implementation of this, depending on what the actual situation may call for. I think I'm going to do that. The other way of putting the selected tower's text on the text label would be to on tower select, when you click on a tower, for the game to look up this instance of text label and set its text variable then. I'm less of a fan of that, so I'm going to be going with the get text method instead, even though it will run in every render, every frame, which it doesn't necessarily need to, but it will get the job done. Let's see, I don't need that anymore. Creation code, get text equals function if game dot selected entity is not equal to undefined, then we will set text to... Do they have a name? I don't know if I gave them names. Alright, I'll try drawing their name. If that variable does not exist, I will simply, I guess, give them one. Alright, so let's place down a pebble tower, click on you, and we do not actually have a name. Alright. I can deal with that. Let's see. Tower. No, it should be an entities. Entity tower. Should be right over here. And we can just like give you a name. And that can be our name. That is not how you spell self. There we go. The word self is highlighted in red. That doesn't really mean anything. Name is used, I believe, in some of the sequence structs. And it will be a variable that's automatically like used in the sequence structs. But it doesn't really matter because you are still allowed to use it. All right, so I'm going to click on you. You have a text label that says bug spray. I'm going to stop doing that. Or don't, I guess. I'm going to try to click on you, even though I have another tower selected, which I shouldn't really be able to do. That feels kind of wrong. And your name says Pebble Shooter. So that's working as intended. I'm going to break this up into multiple commits. First, I'm going to commit the change where I gave towers a name. And then I'm going to commit the change where the text label was implemented. Okay. What next? So there should be a couple more buttons. One would be like sell or something like that. Selling towers is something you often need to do in tower defense games. Free up some space, allow you to place down another tower in that location perhaps, and also get some money back. I'm going to implement that here. And in the creation code, instead of like spawning a tower or whatever, we're going to do the opposite. On click, one click, on click equals function if the selected entity is not equal to undefined, and just to be absolutely safe, and instance of, because this can refer to things such as objects that were placed down in the level editor. We're going to say instance of this is an instance of tower. then we are going to say, all right, first, how do you remove something? Did I write code at any point to actually remove something? Was there a, I know when you hit the delete key, okay, so we're really, there's no special method made for deleting an object. All right, well, at the very least, I'll make one for towers. This, I might just leave that there. It might not be worth making a delete tower or delete world object method, but cell tower is going to equal function of tower. And let's see, instead of hard coding in the selected entity, we can do that. And all environment entities, I think, is not relevant to towers. What's add to map? Where's that defined? Add to map equals function. Oh, right. This is implemented in each of the Oh, there is a destroy method. Okay. That may save me some time. Where is the entity tower definition? Entity bullet. Entity tower. Do we have our own destroy method? Object-oriented programming is great. We do not. Okay. Change of plans. Cell tower is no longer going to be used, but it is going to be given a method. I'm going to call it cell. And first is going to be calling its own destroy method, which it inherits from entity. And then it's like tradition to give you money back when you sell a tower. But first I'll deal with destroying. We can just invoke the cell method on that tower. Okay. And also, wait, before I run that, reset that to undefined. Otherwise the reference will still exist, and the UI won't go away or anything. So let's click the cell button now, and we did indeed get rid of it. Okay, that's cool. It helps that I'd already written like destroy code for each of the entities, or at least some of the entities. Enough of the entities. All right. I will go about giving you money back though, and I guess that can just be, where's the tower data? It has a cost. Let's say tower data divided by 2. Actually, you know what? We'll give you back all your money. Where's the money stored? String, player money. All right. When we sell a tower, game.player_money plus equals class.cost. So we'll give you all your money back when you sell a tower. That very well may not be there in the final game, or you may only get a partial refund when you sell a tower, but for now, I have 65. I can sell that. I can get 10 gold back. Fire tower costs, I believe, 40. Ooh, the collision information is still there. All right, I'll have to deal with that. Yeah, 40. I can sell that, and we can get our money back. Get your money back when selling. I don't want to go for too much longer today. I'm not actually going to implement like upgrading towers in this menu now, but I am going to add them to the UI. First, I do need to like remove the collision data, really. Where is... God. Is there really no, add collision? Is there... Do I have a remove collision or something? Seems that I don't have a remove collision. Alright, well, I don't have too much time today, but so I may have to do this in another video. Alright, it's really weird that I didn't do this before at any rate. Okay, as I said, I don't have too much more time, so I don't have time to do this today, but the first thing that I probably should do in the next video is implement remove collision. And in fact, I am going to, like, leave... Actually, wait. I will make the final commit first. Oh, I already did. I will leave a text note to myself so that I pick it up immediately in the next video. Also, implement... There we go, like that. So that'll be the first thing that I do in the next video. But we have, I do kind of wish I got more done today here, but I do have to go soon. So I don't really have time to do much more. I was kind of expecting to be able to get more done in a half hour. Remove collision. So when we sell the tower, that'll work. Also, just because it's a fun thing to have, let us make ourselves another button. Control CV. And this one can be sell. Sell can be at the bottom. I'll also have an upgrade. Like that. And the creation code can be... Can be that. Alright. Can I leave the end of the video on the screen here? Right. Yeah, about that. Can't run the game with that in it. That's, of course, the point. It's so that I can't run the game without looking at this error message and addressing it the next time I come back to this, but... Anyway, we can put a pebble shooter there. We've got a nice upgrade button, which informs me that I should actually implement tower upgrading. And some tower UI. Okay. So, I'm going to end this off here. I hope you all found that interesting, if you're following along or not. The code for this will obviously be on GitHub. Look for the, I believe, 0.26 release, I believe we're up to, week 26. If you want to contribute towards these videos being made, check for a Patreon link in all of the usual places where you find Patreon links. Otherwise, I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week, one of these and one tutorial, so if you're interested in that kind of thing, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all later. Special thanks to David Key, Edward Holt, Emily Koyo, Jason, and Zenith for supporting these videos. If you want to get access to these things a day early, or to see your name in the credits, head on over to the Patreon page in the video description to join the fun.